How you doing again? I wanted to make a video about my rescue knife collection. I have a lot of older American-made knives, a couple other ones in the mix, other nationalities. They're what I call rescue knives because they were pretty unusable when I got them, but they're fairly functional now, if not, you know, in nice condition. But I figured I'd give it give you a peruse of some of these. Bring my camera down. I have to bring it over a little bit. Oh. There we go. Somewhat. A little crooked. There we go. The first thing here is just an old camping one. This is Est Wing. It's got a good, nice blade to it. You know. I think it says Est Wing right here on the bottom. But as you can see, kind of the handle, these leather ring, it's getting pretty worn, but it's still there, you know. I actually use this quite a lot for a hatchet, you know. These are pretty handy. This is interesting here. This actually had the same handle as this hatchet, because I believe this was. Now this is, if you've watched any of the videos I've done about shotguns or some firearms, this is actually a Western field, just like a couple of firearms I've done in videos I talked about. But I believe this is a K-bar or a knockoff in that style, because it had that leather ring, and if you look at that, you see a lot of K-bars that look like that, but it's marked Western field, you know. This is kind of, the handle is a little fat, because I like that to accommodate my big hands, you know. I guess I had to replace that, so I just used a couple of pieces of hard wood to make a handle for it. Yeah, just a practical knife. Like I said, these are, like I said, what I call rescues, because they were in pretty horrible shape. Like this, I think I did in a video about navel jelly. This old cleaver that was buried in the ground, covered in rust, but now it's usable. This is actually good. You could use it. I use it as a hatchet. I had to actually make the handle because there was no handle on it. It was just a rusted end. I think it came out. This actually came out all right. You can see the handle. I'll show you that. Let me flip it around. It's not too bad. Why I have this big thing on the hand is for balance. You know, just adds a little weight. Just put it back up there. This here is a Western. I think it says Boulder, Colorado. Kind of like a fishing knife with the steel in the hilt. And this knife, like I said, it reminds me of a knife my father had, a straight knife that he had that similar style handle. Although I think the one he had was actually a bit nicer than this. This one's pretty nice though. A couple of people tried to buy it off me, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna part with that one. You know, even though it is a little rough on the blade. You know, could use a polish, but since it's old, I just said nah, you know. But yeah, it's kind of a neat knife, like I said. Some of these are just little pocket knives. Like this one here is American-made pocket knife. This one I actually forget. I think I looked it up, but I can't remember who made it because it's not marked. But these are like the neat little knives from like the 60s or 50s. You know, some from the 40s. This here, a nice little pocket knife that made in Germany, actually. It's actually pretty solid, you know. It's not too for a little guy. It's kind of decent looking. That's just I think that's just tape. We just see in there from something, I don't know whoever got tape me at my garage sale. I picked it up. Yeah, but it's a nice little blade, you know. Yeah, here's another one. This is a nice little pocket knife. Purple. No less. This is Thornton, I think, or Thornton. It says on it. American made. This is probably from 60s, 70s maybe, 60s. I'd say 50s or 60s. You know. These other ones are colonial. I had a couple of these, and I foolishly sold one on eBay a number of years back, and then another one somebody made me an offer, and I couldn't refuse, I guess. And I was left with this, which is in really bad shape. You can see the screw there, but it's still together. I mean, I could use it as like a letter opener, but that's about it. It's still, like I said, it still has purpose, but this is just from a Mosin and Gant. This is the one that has the screwdriver tip, but it's sharp. But you could use it as a screwdriver, and it's also a bayonet. But you could use it for the screwdriver for the rifle. So if you had to take it apart. But like I said, don't be fooled. That tip is sharp. I wouldn't want to get plunged with that. This one here is I believe this one's not marked, but I'm pretty sure it's a Camillus. This is a New York knife. The New York, the old style with the like a razor style, no tip, flathead. It's the same brand as this pocket knife right here. This is in really horrible shape. This looked like it was in the ground at some point, and somebody bent the blade. This is also a Camillus. And this is another one. It's a Camillus. This is actually in pretty decent shape. This is one of those. I forget what they call them. I call it like a bill knife. Like it looks like a bill. And this is a Camillus made in New York. This is an old one. And it's just in real nice shape. It's a very solid knife. These actually, when I got this really cheap. And for like $6 or $7, and they've gone up in price like crazy. You can't find these anymore. Good luck finding one of these in a garage sale. Not. You're lucky if you can find that on eBay for like $50. This here's, I like this. This one I actually did get at a garage sale. It's a K-bar, but it's made in Japan. But it's like a boot knife. I paid $20 for it. I thought it was a fair price. It's a very nice, solid knife. Didn't come with the sheath, but sheaths aren't expensive. You can get some on eBay. This actually, this sheath right here is an eBay special. I think it was like $5-6 or something like that. And that was what this is. Now, if anybody sees this video and they know, please leave a comment or contact me and let me know. This is 225Q. And the categories. But what weirds me out about this knife, I don't know if you've seen these. I got this for like $25. I think I paid in an auction. Did they make the reproductions of any of these knives? Because when I got this knife had no tip. It had no edge on it. Even the tip wasn't particularly sharp, and the edge was like so dull flat that it was worse than a butter knife. And the only time I've ever seen that is like when my brother bought some of these swords in the 80s that he got. And when he got them, when he bought them, they had no edge on them. They were just like stainless steel with no edge. And that's what it kind of reminds me of. And I'm thinking, well, is this thing is it old or is it a reproduction? Again, this is a Categories 225Q. Like I said, it looks old, but something about it seems very strange. I'm wondering if they reproduce these or what. If somebody knows, please tell me. This is just out of curiosity, if anybody's interested. That's a Civil War era fork. This is about from the 1860s. 3-pronged fork. This is something they would use like during the Civil War. Yeah, because that's when it's from. It's originally black, painted black. It's kind of one off. Just like a simple table fork from that era. This here is interesting to say the least. See if we could, if you see one like that. This actually, and it's actually a work in progress. When I got this, I believe, it says Utica on it, and what I believe this was, if you can look here, let me hold it back. That's the shape of it, right? I believe that at one time this was a bread knife. A long, sharp bread knife. And somebody had cut it right here flat. And left it like that. And I thought it was very odd. It's not like you could use it as a hatchet or something. So I'm kind of working it down. But I haven't really quite gotten to the finishing mode of it. I'm just trying to get in a shape for it. I've gotten to just kind of got the basic of what I want, but I don't have a bench grinder right now, so I've been literally doing it by hand, and I can only do a little bit at a time. So it is a rather funky looking knife. Yeah, I think this was, like I said, was originally a bread knife, a rather long, much longer bread knife that somebody. And when I got it, it was like this long. I think somebody had cut it down. It looked like somebody had just cut it down. But kind of an odd one. I think that was about it. These of my odd collection. I do have some newer knives. If you're interested. This one I thought was not a bad deal. I think I paid. I got one of these made in China special. It's like a gutting knife. I think it wasn't bad. I think I only paid like $7 or something. What do you think? Not too bad for that price. Of course, here's one that it's hard to beat. Winchester. Nice old Winchester pocket knife. And this one I like because I bought a bag at a garage sale, and there was a bunch of stuff in it, and this knife was in it. And since I sold the bag just to a friend and kept the other stuff, this was free. That's a pretty nice knife. It's like brand new. It was a freebie. But yeah, I think that's it. The yeah, I said just a few rescue knives that I've had. I still think that. Sorry, just not sure if it's catching my face. It looks a little low. Yeah, I said just a few odd knives. Like I said, I had a lot more, but I got carried away. Like, a number of years, about 4 or 5 years ago, I was selling stuff on eBay, and there was an old guy around here that was selling a bunch of knives. I bought like 50 knives off him. And I said I got so carried away with my eBay, I sold them. There was only a few of them that I probably should have kept. And I gave a few to, people that I knew, or sold a few. I didn't really keep any for myself. Actually, none of these, I don't think any of these knives, except for this one. One of the Camillus, this is the only nice knife I got that I kept. The rest of them went the way of eBay, or like I said, friends. I have to get some more. When I was a kid, I had some nice knives, like some K-bars and some nice big knives. And it's hard to find now. I mean, unless you look on eBay or somewhere like that. I've been to garage sale to garage sale. I don't know how you make out, but around here in upstate New York, the well is pretty dry on finding decent American knives for a reasonable price. They used to be cheap, but not for a number of years now. They've gotten harder and harder to find. Anyway, that's about it. If somebody does, like I said, 225Q, if anybody knows that they made this is like a reproduction or what, I mean, even the handle to me, I don't know, maybe I'm crazy, but to me, instead of age, that almost looks like it was soaked in water to shrink it. I mean, I used to do antiques for a number of years, and for a long time, and bought quite a few, and I've seen some fake antiques, and I don't know, for some reason this screams reproduction. 225Q categories. And that's it. Thanks. Oh, one last thing. I wanted to mention. If I said a rescue knife, somebody, like I said, I should have pointed out that I don't have a bench grinder. I know a lot of people use bench grinders, so a lot of these knives. I mean, why I have a bench grinder, I don't know, because I've had very, very bad luck with harmonics. Every used bench grinder I bought, would just vibrate everything, in this shed. So I just gave up. I do have a small grinder, but it's only good for like doing edges and stuff. So everything here I've had to clean up by hand, and if it needed an edge, that's why I thought that this was kind of weird, because I've had a hard time getting an edge on this, and there was no edge on it to begin with, almost nothing. But yeah, like I said, I've had to do everything here by hand. I mean, like, this isn't even really finished. Like, even the handle, I never got around to finishing it, because I just, it's a lot of work to do them by hand, and I just, like I said, I've got, I've had hand problems, so I've even had surgery on that hand, and I got to get surgery on this one, so. But yeah, I have to clean them. Most of them, all these done, I've been cleaned up by hand. One of these days, I got to find a grinder that doesn't vibrate, to the ends of the earth. And that's it. Thanks.